Going on, Jerome's. So the Minnesota Vikings offensive line was a major question mark headed into the season, and basically Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell and Chris Cooper were like knocking down all the wood. If everyone stays healthy, continuity will win the day, and who needs depth? We don't need to rely on depth, but of course, that depth got tested very early and often. Garrett Bradbury down with injury, Christian Darrisaw down with injury, and it's just not good. As of right now, Christian Darrisaw, so he tweaked up his ankle in the middle of the Bucs game. He taped it up, finished out the game. He was questionable heading into Thursday night in Philly. Reportedly, he re-injured it pregame after the Vikings had already announced their game inactives. That's why Darrisaw, who you saw, was not even the emergency left tackle. David Queensberry came in once Oli Udoh got hurt, and a little bit frustrating, burning a roster spot, but 10 days to get back from that ankle. Hopefully he will be good to go. One of the best young left tackles in the game. Center Garrett Bradbury missed week 2 with that back injury. Kevin O'Connell says that it's quasi-related to that back injury, cost him 5 games last year, so we'll see. O'Connell also said he's optimistic that Bradbury will be back for the Chargers game. It would be nice to get him back into the fold. And then Oli Udoh, man. So Oli Udoh, filling in at left tackle for Christian Darrisaw, tore his quad, and he's out for the season. I mean, it just sounds horrible. It just sounds painful, man. So, prayers up for Oli Udoh for a speedy recovery. But, I mean, that's it. I mean, the Vikings literally have 6 healthy offensive linemen on the 53 right now. They got 3 on the practice squad, and Chris Reed is still on NFI for at least 2 more games. So that's the state of the Vikings offensive line, and it's been in flux quite a bit. But respect, Kirk Cousins in the passing game has done extremely well under duress. Running game, not so much. But the Vikings offensive line so far, 4 sacks, 30 pressures, which. Actually, Kirk's only been pressured on about a third of his snaps. Seems like a lot more, but also he's taken numerous quarterback hits, 12 plus at this point. So there's a lot of questions there. Also, 3 fumbles lost, 1 caused by Ed Ingram, 2 strip sacks, 1 by Winfield, and then of course 1 by Josh Sweat at the start of the second half against Philly. So there's a lot of roughness there. And then 62 running back rushing yards through 2 games, which is not good. Now, part of that is game script with Philly, yes, but 2.69 yards per carry certainly is not nice between Madison and Chandler. Madison also 1.2 yards before contact, which is about 40th in the NFL, which is also not good. And we said last year, the running game struggled last year, even though Dalvin put up 1,000 yards. A lot of that was because Dalvin busted off these long runs, but a lot of them were no gain. The runs that Dalvin used to make for 4 were having no gain. The runs that Dalvin used to break for 12 were 3-4 yards. Part of that was him. Part of that was the offensive line, and they still haven't gotten their ish together in the running game. Now, question is, what do the Vikings do? So there's going to have to be some moves made, and of course, the obvious one is Dalton Risner. The Vikings have the cap space, so they've been in contact with him. Risner seems very motivated to join the Vikings, but for some reason, the Vikings have just been like, we'll see. But we did point out that even though the ish hit the fan week 1, Vikings being on a short week before the week 2 game against the Eagles on Thursday, where they didn't even technically have a true practice, it wouldn't have really made sense to bring a guy in and throw him out to the Wolves in week 2. But with 10 days off between the Eagles and the Chargers game, that makes all the sense in the world. Now, for agent options, yes, Dalton Risner will be at 1-1. And also, with the Vikings having injuries at center and tackle, as well as some ineffectiveness at guard, I mean, the Vikings can be in the market for every single position, which is kind of rough. So Risner is there. Lyle Collins, who was recently released off the PUP by the Bengals, can play guard and tackle. Taylor Lewan, he said that he actually didn't technically retire. Former Tennessee Titans left tackle, the pride of Michigan. Of course, he's sort of going the Pat McAfee route. He's got a great podcast. He's doing a lot of media and stuff out there, so I don't know if he'd be drawn back in. Chase Roulier, who's actually only 29 years young, former Washington Commanders center, the pride of Burnsville, Minnesota, by the way, former Wyoming Cowboy. Could that Cowboy get back on the Bronco and give this whole rodeo another ride? Who knows? Gabe Jackson, All right, so Gabe Jackson, former Raider, you go to LSU? I think you might have. Seahawks last year, sort of waning, but also the Vikings should be grasping at straws at this point. Joe Haeg, former NDSU Bison. I think he's from Brainerd. Former Brown, former Colts, etc. Michael Schofield. Feels like Michael Schofield's been tied to the Vikings in free agency for the last 6 years, whether he was with the Chargers, whether he's with the Bears, or whatever. Ode Abushi, formerly of the Rams. That's a crossover with Kevin O'Connell and Wes Phillips in La La Land. Also, they had him in for a workout this offseason. That's notable. Josh Andrews. That's right. Former Vikings practice squad legend Josh Andrews, previously of the Eagles, does have center and guard flexibility. That would be notable at this point. Trade options. Here's the thing about trade options. I don't think that Kwesi wants to give up draft capital, especially since they may be winding up for a quarterback next year. And even though their bet on not bringing in high value free agents or not using any draft picks on the O-line didn't work out. But so Liam Eichenberg is interesting for the Dolphins. So he did have 1 year of crossover with Brian Flores. He was a second-round pick back in 2020. And Eichenberg, when he's played, he has not been good, straight up. But he does fit the profile. I mean, he was a number 42 overall pick in 2021. And Kwesi loves the "Mama, I can change him" type players. And Eichenberg's actually on the bench right now for the Dolphins. So, I mean, 6th round pick? Why the hell not? Ryan Bates of the Bills. He's a utility backup for Buffalo. Made an RFA offer to him last season. That could be an intriguing name. Vidarian Lowe. That's right. It would be nice to have Vidarian Lowe back. But last year's 6th round pick, who Kwesi traded to the Patriots, as 53-man cuts were coming in for another 6th round pick. He actually started for the Patriots on Sunday Night Football, which is going on right now. Patriots marching down 24-17, 57 seconds left. No spoilers. Prince Tega Winogo, UDFA out of Auburn a handful of years ago. He's been a backup with the Chiefs, sort of bounced around the league. I liked his athletic profile coming out of Auburn. Also, he's legitimately royalty. Like, this isn't an homage to Prince Rogers Nelson. Look it up. It's interesting. Chuma Adaga, of course. I love me some USC, former 3rd-round pick coming out, was with the Jets, and then currently on the Cowboys as a backup guard tackle. John Feliciano, former Buffalo Bill. I always loved his nasty streak, man. Whether with the Bills or the Raiders, currently a backup on the Niners. Jack Driscoll of the Eagles is a guy that I liked in the draft a couple years ago, currently the backup in Philly. And then, of course, there's potentially poaching of the practice squad. Now, this is generally frowned upon, but teams do it, and also the Vikings, I mean, they got some needs right now. So, screw it. Oh, Cole Strange? No. No way. This game is drunk. Anyways, Tyree Phillips, 2020 3rd-round pick, size and power. Currently on the Eagles practice squad. He's a Lance Chance U alum, East Mississippi Community College, also a Mississippi State Bulldog. Guard Tommy Kramer of the Saints. Different spelling, but I mean, why the hell not? Last time Kramer worked out well for the Vikings. 2021 UDFA out of Notre Dame. Also on the Saints, Storm Norton. That's right, baby. Just bringing on back that love and feeling. 2017 UDFA out of Toledo. Spent 3 years with the Vikings. Yes, previous regime, but he actually got some run. He actually started a couple games for the Chargers when Rashawn Slater got hurt. But he's currently on the Saints practice squad. 2 from the Chiefs practice squads. Darren Kennard, I actually made a case that the Vikings should have picked him up and put him on the 53. But 5th-round pick from Kentucky. He's perfect in outside zone. Add a little bit of nastiness to the offensive line. Austin Reeder's an interesting case. So Austin Reeder was literally the starting center for the Chiefs Super Bowl run when they beat the Niners. He started every single game that season, and then the next year he signed with like the Rams practice squad. I don't get it. But he's currently on the Chiefs practice squad. I don't know. And they got Alex Taylor of the Cowboys. South Carolina State. He's literally like 7 feet tall. That's all. That's always what happens. Like when you look around the league of who's available, I just fall back on guys that I liked in the draft. That's what it is, man. But I mean, would you offer like a 6th or 7th rounder for Eichenberg? Maybe. But also in terms of free agent options, I mean, Reisner and Collins make the most sense. With Jason Peters off the market, just go for that. Ink him up right now. Make a play for Roulier. Call him up. He's probably chilling in Burnsville right now. Go ahead. But it's all right. It's a little bit rough right now, but the fact that the Vikings passing game has been on point is promising. They need to get the run game together, and they need to keep hits off of Kirk, because it's not great right now. But your thoughts are thoughts. Take a look at the state of the Vikings offensive line. Let us know your thoughts. It's getting reviewed. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.